fellow YouTubers, welcome back to YouTube Gaming Community number 102. And if I sound out of breath or a little tired, it's because my wife is playing Enchanted Arms on the PS3 right now. And she got to the eat 50 slices of pizza part where you have 25 seconds to either press X really fast or shake the successive controller. I did all 50 with 1.8 seconds left. Oh, that is tiring. So anyway, our topic for today is related to like Battlefield 3. They finally basically came out and said Battlefield 3, in order to play the game on PC, you have to install the Orion in order to play the game. And it made me sit there thinking, how would you like it on your Xbox 360, PS3, Wii if you had to log in twice every time? Meaning you had to log in to Xbox Live and then log into EA. You had to log in to Xbox Live, you had to log into Ubisoft. You had to log in 2, 3, 4 times to get where you needed to get in and play your game. How would you feel about that? So for the PC market, if Orion was to take off, let's say it was to take off, then every other publisher would follow suit. So in other words, to buy EA games, I gotta install Orion. To buy Ubisoft games, I gotta install this. To play this publisher's games, I have to install this. To buy the game and play the game. How would you feel about that? My best thing to relate to why this is a bad thing for video games, a missed opportunity, like Valve's Steam works so well, just go with what works, right? I have an example of this, for example, of back in music, back when music was at the height of its popularity, which was the last year of Napster existence before they went to court and basically destroyed old Napster. A Napster showed you could put music online and people would go to it, right? That if the music guys had destroyed Napster and actually turned that into a vehicle for making money off their music, because so many people followed it, it could have been great for them. Instead, they decided to destroy it. And since that time, music sales have never gotten back up to that level the last year Napster was around. The one thing I think they kind of missed was people trying new music and listening to, they were not only were they downloading artists they liked, but they were trying new artists. And that during that period of time, people found so much music, and then a lot of people were actually going out to buy it, because it's kind of like the junk mail mentality. Junk mail operators only actually want to predict to get back 5% or less return, and they make a lot of money off that. So they carpet bomb everybody, but they're only expecting to have a small return. But that small return was high enough, and they make enough money that it works. So EA wants to have the whole pot, and soon, how long before Activision's follow suit? With other publishers, do you really want to go through all that? This is why I don't think they understand why splitting up was good. Because EA decided to put Battlefield 3 on Orion. Guess what? I'm not buying it on the PC, and I will not buy it on console. I will not support somebody where I don't believe what they're doing. I believe this is purely a move for greed. This is purely a move. They want the whole pot, and it's not good to have somebody control everything. It's not always good. It's always good to have a middleman, because the middleman protects the consumers from the actual people who make the product from going crazy, abusing rights. At the same time, it protects the company in some ways from the consumer. And so that's why a middleman is always good. So leave your comments what you think below. So some of our comments, I'm about to read comments from YouTube Gaming Community number 101, where I talk basically rewarding games, basically how much different rewarding games of versus old games versus new ones. A lot of people responded on what they liked better. But before I get to that, I want to get to Mr. Techno Squeak's comment. He said, I bought 3 games off XX Money 3D XX, and I got them, and they were some good stuff. Super Mario RPG, Super Castlevania 4, and Zelda Link to the Past. Now, as I prefaced in the last video, I have no proof he did anything wrong. I mainly read that comment, or message, to talk about how people need to be careful when trading on YouTube and with other YouTubers. My next comment is from JillPoo 3. OMG, gaming was such more challenging before the internet. Yes, when you still had to call a Nintendo Power hotline. I remember my best friend who lived down my street and I had a race to finish Zelda 2. It was so much fun. Yeah, I only actually called Nintendo Power twice, or remember me and my best friend ever calling Nintendo Power twice. Once I called it for the original Final Fantasy because I couldn't find that last rare armor, and which I found when they told me where it was, I was right next to it. Actually made me mad because I went there and I just missed it the first time. And my best friend called for some game, I can't even remember what that game was. And I remember, for those who weren't around when Nintendo Power Hotline was around, the hotline, it cost a lot of money per minute. So it was really expensive when you called them. And every time you called them, you always got put on hold. They always say lines were busy. And you sat on hold for 10, 20, 30 minutes to finally get through to the operator. So a call to Nintendo Power could cost you a lot of money, $50, $70, $100 plus to call them to get this tip. But I thought it was always cooler, like, to sit there with your Nintendo Power when you're playing a game. So Zelda 2, around me and my best friend me, we sat down with the guide and we played through that game together. And our word was, when you died in the game, then it was the other person's turn to play the game for a while. A game like Zelda 2, that could be a long time that the other person lived. But next up, Games of War. One thing I missed about the old days are the mascot platformers. Granted, towards the end there, the market got flooded, kind of like the FPS today. Remember Wild Woody, Awesome Possum, Rocky Rodent, and even Arrow the Acrobat? Seems everybody wanted to cash in the critter mascots. But games have never been more popular than they are today. So we see much more casual games, more handheld, etc. I won't say the next gen is worse than old school, just different. And I remember those days. Remember those days like in the Genesis and Super Nintendo where you had all kinds of, any creature they can think of was a mascot. Anything that could be a mascot was a mascot back then. And it was you know, it was cool. I used to like platformers back then, so I thought it was a really cool time, you know, to play those. But like today with FPSs, in a generation, every generation or two we have a shift of what's popular. So for the FPS market, in a generation or two, it'll shift to something else. It always does. For those people who don't like FPSs, there eventually will be a shift. Or for people like FPSs, they'll be around. I mean, those other things that were popular haven't died off. They're just niche markets right now. So next up is Koopa Catch. I say boom shakalaka. Same here, I was a badass on NBA Jam. Now I'm like, WTF, I'm not on fire no more. Yeah, that's what's funny about those old games, right? You used to be really good at that old game. You're like, man, I was great. I was the best player in the world of that game. And then you go 20 years later and you put that game in and you're like, I suck. I couldn't whip a 5-year-old's butt in that game anymore. You know, you're amazed at how much your memory and your skills have disappeared since that time. So next up is Mega Retro Boy 92. I agree with you, old games were challenging and still are. I went back to play some of my old games and just recently and having a hard time figuring out how the hell I passed them. Old games take time to plan out what's going to be your next move, but in the end are very rewarding when you pass them or defeat a difficult boss. Yeah, and you know, one of the things, old games used to have glitches in them, right? Like, for example, Blaster Master. Everybody remembers, what was it, the odd levels, I believe? When your bullet hit the enemy, you basically paused the game and it would continually take off their health, and then when you unpaused it, after a while, they would die or almost be dead. But it was rewarding in those old games if you beat that difficult boss in the game, or you beat that level that you had to have a perfect run in that level, and you just beat that level. Last up, CDN Gamer. The difficulty level of modern games is probably a reflection of how many different distractions we have these days. Back in the NES days, there were no cell phones with text messages coming in every 5 minutes, no Netflix or VOD, no internet, etc. I think the average gamer would simply move on to a different game or activity if they had to restart the game after only 3 continues or so. I think game studios try to make the game challenging enough to keep you interested and not drive you a game. And I do think that is very true, that there are so many more distractions, whether you're a kid to an adult, so many other things for your time, that with the way society in general works, people would just move on to the next thing if the games were too hard, or only had 3 continues. And that's just a reflection of the change in the times more than it is the developers. Or, I mean, they change with what the public wants. So, those are your comments. Now, I got a message from DJP1100 who asked a question, and I put this question out to the community. Hey, do you know why Sega Atari 25 closed his account? I haven't been on for a while, and I noticed he wasn't on here anymore. I didn't know what happened to him, so I'm putting it out to you guys. Do you guys know what happened to Sega Atari 25? Maybe he got another channel. Maybe he put out why he closed his account. But anyway, leave a comment below about it, and if I actually get an answer to it, I will read the message next video. So, we have 17 videos to check out this time. The first one, ironically, is one of those things where somebody sends me a video related to a video like from last video. Like last video, I showed you Luke Morris 1 walking to Super Potato. Well, KidShoryuken sent me Return to Super Potato, where he starts the video outside of the building and he walks you through all 3 floors of all the video game goodness that's inside. Just awesome to see the whole inside of that place. Next up, the 8-Bit Theater 250 plus subscribers, shoutouts, and short room tour. So not only does he thank people for getting 250, but he shouts out a lot of YouTubers, and then he shows you a short game room tour, so you should check that out. Next up is OldSkoolBrian, free video game contest giveaway 8/12/2011, and the contest is best guess how many video game controllers he has. Now, to enter this contest, you have to be a subscriber. And if you want to, you can like the video and just leave the comment of the answer. And in the video he shows the 3 prizes for the first, second, and third person. So you should check that out. Next up is Siccooper Video Game Finds 48 featuring Mr. Cassidy Gonzales. Mr. Cassidy Gonzales does a really cool singing intro to the video, and then he shows you a bunch of really cool N64 pickups. It tells you a little bit at the end of what's going on in his life in the near future now that summer's over. Next up is Wes Gross Customs, show me your gaming setup. So basically this is a tag video of he shows you his gaming setup and wants other people to leave a video response of what their gaming setup is. And just for a twofer for a second video, you want to go watch and see how to customize your play card on Black Ops. If you don't know how to do it or want to learn, check that out. So, next up is, I don't know if it's supposed to be 0000 or 0000 Isbo, or the name she goes by on YouTube, Mistress Isbo. His Club Nintendo Package Poster Edition. She got really 3 cool posters from Nintendo for Donkey Kong. One with Diddy and Donkey Kong on the cover on the front of it. The second one was basically a timeline of Donkey Kong games, which was really cool, from the original one to the latest one that came out on the Wii. And then the third one was a cool classic poster of the original, you know, what the first level of the original Donkey Kong arcade machine was. So you should check those out. Next up, Nick Sag 105 Fight Night Street Fighter 2 gameplay. If you just want to go see old Street Fighter 2 gameplay, check that out. Next up is Ace9921 RetroDuo versus Original Hardware Part 10. Basically, he takes the RetroDuo, tries 7 more Super Nintendo games to see how well they play on it. So you should check that out. Superdeadite, and his video is Undeadline MSX MIDI-PAC. So in other words, he's playing Underline on the MSX, showing you, you know, the music with the gameplay. Really cool game. Check that out. And then RetroRepair Time Crisis to JAMMA conversion. So basically, it takes a PCB Time Crisis and arcade, and then he converts it over to JAMMA, and then he shows you playing that cool old arcade classic. Next up, Tigheklory Radikal Bikers Fixed WGK 7400 monitor shutdown. So I originally bought this arcade machine to get the monitor for another one of his arcade machines that sat there for a year. He finally fixed it, and if you've never seen the game, check it out. Arcade game. Next up is ArwingAssultx StarFox2. Basically, there are pictures of StarFox2, but explaining about the game and what he liked about the game back when it came out. Next up, DaveyGameCorner, GameON Episode 4, Land of Illusion. So, if you don't know what Land of Illusion is, it's a Mickey Mouse game on the Master System. If you want to check out gameplay of it, check out the video. And then GeekerDays Vlog 2. So this is GeekerDays Vlog, but in this vlog, not only does he talk about, you know, just gaming stuff in general, but he also shouts out small channels, 300 to have 3 to 200 subs or less, and why he likes those channels. Next up, nostalgicdan 1, my video game artwork, Tales of Vesperia. If you want to see his really cool drawing, like the cover of the game. He did a really awesome job drawing it. Really cool. Check that out. And then last but not least, Stratamaster 78 NesAttack review, episode 1, Mike Tyson's Punchout. Every so often I like to go to an older video and shout it out. This video came out, I believe, February this year, and he does a really good job of breaking down how to beat each character in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. And then beginning, he does, you know, a little bit of history of Nintendo and signing Mike Tyson. So if you want to see a really good breakdown of how to beat each character in that original NES game, check that video out. So guys, that's all for now. I'm going to go back to playing a little more of my Zelda 2, and I will see you all on Monday. I also, by the way, over the next 2 days, I have 2 response videos to make since people tagged me, so those will be coming up. So guys, see you then.